Alright, we're good to go. 3, 2, 1, go! Alright. One last final step, one piece of the puzzle that has not been messed with yet. Please, for the love of God, don't screw me on drug rules. Oh, it's beautiful! It's beautiful! Alright. Perfect drug rules. Just right for the start of the stream. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Still setting up though. Where is my recon links? Information. There we go. Excellent. Hey guys, welcome to the cast. Just starting off. Proceeds to flop around. How's it going, guy? Cool skills. Welcome to the cast. Twev TV. Hey, Slurp. What are you slurping? Carvire. How's it going? Maskas. Long time started. Not because you weren't streaming, because I was moving. Hope you're doing great. I'm doing fantastic, Muskas. Welcome back to the world of the has internets and able to watch Twitch.tv. Hope you moved into a nicer place. Hey, that tree, though? Praise the fair lady. Who's the fair lady? Who's the fair lady? Alright, guys. Well, we're going to be doing crazy shit today. I'm sure that's something you'd love to hear. Hopefully we have enough money for that first insurance. I do not. Let's just transfer some money over. I blew a lot of money on ships today. Yes, I want to cancel that trade session. And yes, I want to give some money over to this dude. But we should be making back some of it with insurance soon. Teehee. Okay. We good. Alright, it's Raven time. Let's do it. So I haven't done a fitting like this in a very long time. No prop at all. No MGD. Just all gank tank. it could go beautifully or go terribly wrong. So, see how this goes. I'm not going full tank on the rigs, though. I still have 1 warp speed rigs for Sandy. So, should have fun. That's Raven. What are you doing? Stop! No, I'm not stopping. It's Raven, ain't got no brakes. Yeah, hopefully it'll be fun. Hopefully it'll be fun. Gank and tank, which means I'm putting out a lot of damage, and then everything else is focused on tanking. So if I were to look at the fitting for this Raven, it's all damage mods and big damage weapons, and then my mids and rig slots are pretty much devoted entirely to tanking and applying damage. So whether or not this style of fitting ever is going to work really depends on what I bump into in space. So whenever I'm flying a battlecruiser or a battleship in faction warfare PvP, again, it's like a broken record whenever I say this, but it's the truth. Pretty much the only places I'm going to get fights are on stations and gates, usually gates. Occasionally on the outside of complexes if there's a fight going on outside of a plex. I don't like sitting on outside of a plex to get a fight. I like to just roam around, look around for fights, and then get them. So, pretty much how I get fights, like where I get fights, has a lot to do with my very impatient roaming nature when in PvP. So with that in mind, because I have no ability to escape from a gang, I have no ability to really dictate range around a gang, and just kind of going to be sitting there shooting torpedoes. Whether or not I'm going to do well depends entirely on the gang that I bump into. So if that gang has, say, a bunch of damping ships or a bunch of logistics, something like that, then I'm really going to rely heavily on my scouting on my link alt to make sure I don't bump into those gangs in the first place. That's the new damage control icon, yes. Yeah, I missed the briefcase too. I miss it too. I miss it a lot. I think the gift's fairly appropriate when you're having a link alt. 2 parts to 1 hole. Mm-hmm. Good beats, good beats. The ROC! Been around for a while. How's their organization? Kinda curious. About 4 years old. Gift for the link alt? What is this? It's not loading. That's amazing. That's actually amazing, Rambo. And here's the one guy that actually is running as opposed to jogging. Tackle! Man, that guy knows how to get it done, shit. Doesn't look like a small man either. This is one of my favorite ship models in the game, by the way, the Raven. I think it's an awesome looking ship. He had links? Yeah, I get it, I get it. It's a human tank. He probably caved the guy's ribcage in. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy had some pretty significant bruises, if not a broken rib or two, or something like that. Local's at 27. At least one Syndable. Syndable's going to be in torp range, but probably not for long. Do I take the fight, though? Last time I took a fight with these guys, they, like, the entirety of local piled onto me. It's probably these dirt and glitter guys, I'm guessing. Oh, yeah. So I'd get a lot more than what I see here piling onto me. For some reason, I find your lack of UI layout difference between clients sad. Twev, or Twev, I'll address that in a moment. It's because of how I use, I manage my windows. It's the main reason why. No good, no good. Should have jumped into them immediately. I didn't realize my buddies were going to be that close by. Different color scheme. I have the Caldari color scheme and the Minotaur color scheme going on right now. Evidently, a Rattler gang is heading my direction. Oh, jeez. So that just happened. They all jumped back into Sisade. Alright, let's see what these guys in the Rattlesnakes are doing. Looks like I'm free. Looks like the Rattlesnake's already warped. Yeah, Falcon pretty much screws any chance of dealing with that gang solo. But I happen to have a whole bunch of alliance mates nearby. Yeah, so anyway, I'm managing both my accounts using IS Boxer, which means that with the push of a hotkey, it swaps one client from the other monitor over to my main monitor. It's kind of like alt-tabbing, except that it moves the client to my main monitor. So having everything in the same location is very important for me to successfully manipulate my characters swiftly. So, anyone still there? Is anyone able to chat with me? I'm being told that Twitch stream is offline. Ah, okay. Evidently, we're still good. So unfortunately, I did not pack any javelin missiles, so I'm not really able to do any engagements here. But I am kind of supported by my court mates nearby, so there's that. Not much I can do here. I don't have an MGD. I'm not all that mobile. I'm really relying on people being close to me, so if people are going to be fucking off like this, then I'm going to have a hard time applying damage. Looks like we're killing some of them though, so that's cool. I can only hope. We don't have hard tackle on anything, even though we have a lot of scepters and stuff. And I can't warp to any any alliance mates, even if I were to join their fleet, because we're at an outpost. So, what I might do is just leave, because there's really nothing I can do here. Oh, looks like the Omen got caught. Unless he's turning. Yeah, he looks caught. Alright, I'm gonna continue on my merry way. So that would have been an engagement where cruise missiles would have been nicer to have. Wouldn't really made a huge difference, but it would have been nice. I'd actually be able to shoot at, say, the Omens and stuff and do some damage to them. Not a lot, but some. They'd still be able to hold me down with In fact, I mean, they had, I think, it carries with them. I don't even know if I'd really be able to project out to 40 cam. No, no, Thekla, it's weird. We're gonna have to check the map here because it's not looking all that active. We'll up to the large while we're trying to figure things out. Assert. Nice. Nothing going on anymore. Nothing going on in Golem. Cruisers, BC, BS. This is a fairly limited ship, but as long as I go up against gangs where there's not an overwhelming amount of logistics or EOR, I can tank very well. And I'll apply pretty good damage to non-AB fit cruisers and above. I can tank a little bit more than that, but it's the right idea, Thekla. Yeah, this is a very old school fit with an old school target selection in mind. Which channel in game for what, Dimitri? Hey, Queen.
My in-game channel is Fragbox, Dimitri. You can scroll down. You see a whole bunch of channel information for you. I can go for a sig and I won't, knowing I won't come back to see you in a pod. It's entirely possible. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't mean to be over-ripping like that. It's actually kind of bad. Okay, now I have a Hyperion supporting. Awesome. So 2 linked out, blinged out, likely battleships versus small cruiser gang. Fight. Normal Raven. Yep. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Very rare to get something like that going on. Evidently, we had some friendly bomber support. Harib was the guy putting the pressure on that first auger to start with. I didn't realize that. I thought that was just sentries, and they're throwing all the reps possible onto their Vexers. Nice. Oh wait, I'm using 400s. I'm dumb. Dumb. Wait, why am I... Fuck. No, that's right. Okay. Oh, thank God we have Torps for sale. That is awesome. I wasn't expecting that. If you want an ammo tracker, I can supply one. I'm low. I have a whole bunch of ammo in my alt. I appreciate the offer though. I just say enjoy the show. Oh, for the hangar thing? Yeah, it's merge items and ships right there. You just got to use my dust collector. It might be not the last of it either. Trying to get some drugs here, and then there's a whole bunch of frigates and stuff on scan. Hopefully we'll get some more fights for our battleships if you want to tag along. You're leading the field? Go for it, Seajunks. Tell me if you get caught. Still have the chat open. Honestly, between myself and the Hyperion, we actually make a pretty good team. I could have been doing a little bit better job of smart bombing off drones for him. He has the heavy newt to kind of help shut down Logi or cap-dependent ships nearby. And I also have a target painter, which is going to help both of our weapons apply damage. Between the two of us, we have double web, double scram. It's pretty solid. Sorry being quiet, guys. I'm just looking for people to fight, and I'm talking to Seajunks on the side. I'm managing a lot. I don't know about anyone else, but the cat gif literally is blinding me so much I can't stop watching it. It is pretty good. It absolutely is awesome. It's one of my favorite cat gifs in recent months. I'm so sorry, Thekla. So sorry, so sorry. Even Kerbal Space Program seems faster paced. Yes. Tetsu. This game is not the fastest paced game. Once combat occurs, it's very frantic, but the logistics of moving your ships around, trying to find people in space to do combat with, it's fairly tedious compared to most MMOs. There's no arena style gameplay in this game. So it's all kind of open world sort of stuff. So it can be very similar to, say, DayZ or something in that regard, where you can just spend hours of not really seeing anyone, or at least not seeing anyone that you're going to fight, and then suddenly it's all hell. Yeah, Sea Junkies was running around in a dual rep Ishtar. He messed up his Ansel Ripper, though, it seems. That's like part of the reason, though. If I'm doing this as Stain Tank, I don't like using Ansel Rippers these days unless I'm doing like a T1 ship. I'd rather have a very consistent rep amount that I can rely on versus the Nansil that I can really screw myself by going into reload, something like that. Your adaptive is off? Yeah, if I'm not getting shot at, there's no real need for me to turn it on. This is minor macro thing, minor micro things. Wow. Let's try to English. Enunciate, Sard. 2 Nixes dead, where? Where are the Nixes dying? Are you guys talking about Rapid Heavies? And Delve? Oh, cool. Cool. No, invul cap usage is actually quite high. It doesn't seem much comparison to the total cap pool of a battleship, but battleships don't actually have that great of regeneration on their cap. It's very noteworthy over the course of a fight if you leave your invulnerability field on if you're not getting just over the course of the fight, not even if you're getting shot at. But this is an area where Rapid Heavies would be way better. Absolutely. Shooting little frigates like this. Yeah, they're all going to an outpost. I don't think I have support anymore, unfortunately, so I don't really have much of a reason to be following a whole bunch of confessors and stuff over to an outpost. Wish I did, but I think they all moved over to Calgal space. I mean, maybe with a Newt I can deal with the confessors? Smart Bomb's not really doing much for me against that little gang. What is my power grid spare? I have a zillion power grid spare. I don't think a heavy unstable Newt would be better. I think a medium unstable would be good. It's actually not a bad price. Gee. Cap switching to shield, I thought it was all Archon Aeon. I don't know. I don't know much about that. I know there's been some. I think the hell are they called? Dreaded do that? I don't. I'm sure that it's still mostly armor preference. These guys still over at the plexing thing? I don't have much reason to. You know, I probably can throw that thing in my cargo in case I see those guys again. I believe that heavy newts only have a volume of 5 meters cubed for some odd reason. Yep. So it's not that big of a deal to have a little bit less torpedo. In fact, I can probably do this. Oh. The cargo in here? Not quite. I will if I do this, though. There. So if I see that gang again, I can do stuff. Does it really matter on hop dropping caps? Not really, not so much. It's only if you're going into combat against other capitals. And I think on paper shield caps are preferable right now, but everyone has the already has the armor doctrines put into place, so it's pretty hard to change over. It's not my area of expertise though. Yeah, exactly. I thought. Oh, here they are. The hell is that small outpost? Music, you failing me? Hell's best looking super. Hell does look awesome. Hell does look awesome. I should hear Graf's opinion on Hells and Nidhuggers. I'm not sure if that'd be safe for stream. He has a such dislike for him. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be safe for stream. Hey, Lion Cake. Well, Hells and Nidhuggers, aren't they regarded as like pos repping things, or just like the only thing they're really decent at is triage? Actually, would have been a warp to that. Please, someone please drop his hell and start now. Only if it reps me. Only if it reps me. Get out of here. Don't want to hear this crap. Nice bump. Kovops Dictors, what? Aethop, that's actually kind of interesting. I would lean towards the Hyperion taking it because I don't have a Newt and he does. But I'm not really sure how that would go. We're actually more or less working together at this point. He helped me out with the Vexor gang earlier. Hypo would win easy? I don't know about that one. Tweb. Or Tweb. Your name's so fun. TWEW. Two. I like it. I mean, if I had a neutralizer on this thing, I think it would be a much more interesting engagement. Because Smartbone's not going to help me too much against the Hyperion. Honestly, the thing I'm curious about for doing this fight, we're going to do the 1v1 for you guys. The thing I'm curious about is I'm going to run out of explosive missiles at some point. I see that happening. One thing I'm going to be a little bit frustrated with is if, say, Exodus decides to rain in our party crash on the 1v1. I wouldn't put that past them. Stream died. So everything fine on my end. Here we go. Oh, he was still in station. His guns wouldn't load. Here we go. It's the new damage control. You got it. Might be all she wrote. My gun management for this fight has been atrocious. Yeah, the disparity was pretty huge. I don't know how much money he put into his fit, so that may have had a good part of it, but don't know. It was a good fight. It looked like he had his nuke pretty much running the entire fight, so eh. No, he had pretty much tech too. Oh, triple rep, Jesus. Yeah. This thing makes him pretty cap efficient. Makes him incredibly cap efficient. He was gonna be able to rep through me just fine with the tool 2 reps. And then he just runs this thing to be super cap efficient. Oh, he had 13,800s left. Yeah, there was much of a fight there. He did just fine. Yeah, there was a time where the Raven was a pretty good 1v1 BS boat. Evidently that's not that time has passed. Let's see, where do I normally drop off my loot here? What's up? Yes! They dropped 2 gun. Oh, they didn't drop. Yeah, they dropped 2 guns off of the Seeple and the Confessor, but the Jackdaw's still going to have 6 missile slots from what I saw, and 1 utility high. Okay, C-Junks is telling me he was repping me with 1 rep. This is really curious to me. So C-Junks is telling me that he was tanking me with 1 Tech 2 rep, essentially, permanently. I mean, I was going after his ogres for a while, and I was doing a fucking terrible job with my torpedo launchers. I don't know how I was being so bad about that. But, that is blowing my mind. I know he had an armor explosive hardener in his fitting. Energized adaptive, damage control. But he didn't look all that stacked against explosive. Did he have a reactive on here too? No. He has a Trimark in as well, which is really fucking weird. Are you guys still going on about the T3s? The Raven used to be 6 mids. They added a 7th mid for the rebalancing. They dropped one of the utility high slots for a mid slot. Is what happened during the rebalancing. And I'm kind of mixed on that. I used to have a fitting where I had in my 2 utility highs, I had a smart bomb and a NOS, and it was pretty freaking awesome. I liked it. I really liked it. The NOS made sure you'd always have your invul on, your tackle on, that sort of thing. It was great. Now, I'm not going to say no dropping a high slot for a mid slot. I mean, that just makes the Raven awesome. More gank and tank potential, but it takes away a little bit of the utility that you had keeping your mods on without a cap booster. Fit rapid heavies? Not for the brawling style of PP I'm doing. I mean, the only thing that rapid heavies would really help against is against support, which, in all honesty, it isn't a bad idea to fit for that when you're running around in FAC War. But given that I'm pretty much flying these things into home systems of FAC War groups, it's actually a pretty good chance of running into cruisers and up. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. One thing I actually realized with that fight, I didn't pop my drugs. At least I don't think I popped my drugs. Let me look at the lost mail. I think I linked it over here. I didn't pop my drugs. I didn't have blue pill for that, and I'm thinking Sejung's had exile for that. But even then, I mean, I have crystals in. I have mid-grade crystals in. It's he was tanking me without any problem whatsoever. If I had the blue pill running and actually was running my guns a little bit better, managing my mods a little bit better, probably would have had to force him to run 2 reps. The real question is, whenever you have like a BS 1v1, is how cap efficient is your tank? And Hyperions are incredibly cap efficient. When you're looking at an Ansel booster and XL ASB for cap efficiency, one thing that's kind of interesting about it, if you're looking at the amount of cargo space versus how the ASB works, and you compare it to, say, a Tech 2 extra large shield booster, they're about the same in cap efficiency as a Tech 2 booster. So you could say for a long duration fight, I was actually about as efficient cargo space wise and cap wise as a normal Tech 2 LSB, XL LSB Raven, which is kind of crappy for 1v1. Dust doesn't affect Eve too much. There's some effect in factional warfare, there's some effect on economy, but not so much. There's a much greater effect of Eve players on Dust than vice versa, but doesn't have much effect on the other way around. Yeah, I read that about Gargant. Big blow to CCP as far as competitive stuff goes. Oh, there's a shield capacity penalty. Oh well. What do I think about E-Valkyrie? I got to play it during E-Vegas in 2014. I didn't get to try it in FanFest for 2015, but I heard there's a lot of just basic improvements made to the game. It's a really cool game. The biggest issue that I have with it is the Oculus, which is, a $200 toy. It really depends on what the market is for Oculus-style games and how that plays out. I probably would pick it up. I'm probably going to pick it up. Just, it'd be kind of interesting to do. I'll probably end up streaming. It'd probably be something really interesting to watch. One thing I don't like about Valkyrie, as far as from a streaming perspective, is that you no longer see my facial expression. You know, it's all covered in Oculus. You might see my mouth. That's it. But it's still kind of interesting. Yeah, I agree with Thekla. I 100% agree with Thekla. It seems that they're going to be sticking with Dust for the time being, Thekla. It sounds like Legion's kind of been let go of for the time being. What do you guys think for the coloration scheme? This is the Krusal skin. That's the default skin. And then there you have the Nefertar. Not a huge fan of the Nefertar skin on the Maelstrom. It's all white. I'd kind of prefer if it had the black and white that you see in the Tornado. I think the Krusal actually looks pretty cool. Legion's actually pretty far into its development. Oh, well, shoot, I know nothing of it then. There was no announcements of it or any talk of it during FanFest, which was fairly surprising. There are many to replace that can. It's not a bad question, Alex. It is a very subtle difference. Yeah, Thekla, he does that kind of stuff with RBB. Yeah, I lost the Raven in 1v1. Lost it to C-Junks in a 1v1. This is a Maelstrom. This is actually a ship that probably a lot of you don't see all that often. Probably even rarer than a Raven. Hey, Posterman, how's it going? These things used to be really popular, and when battleships fell off the metagame, Maelstroms, you may see them for mission running, but that's about it. That's kind of funny, Scum Save, what people think of badass ships. The reason why you don't see these types of ships, like Maelstroms and Ravens, all that stuff, they might be big ships, but they're actually not all that badass. They're not that strong in the PvP ranking system that players use, kind of called the metagame. What's good and what's bad right now. Battleships are pretty rare. What is Sea Junkies flying? He is still in Hyperion. How much ISK do I have? Very little. I blew it all in ships earlier this day. Losing a wolf is bad to me? Gotcha. Yeah, I am flying T1 versions of battleships, so they actually insure fairly well. It's still a pretty big hit. It's not something insignificant to lose. Pretty much the larger the ship you fly, the more expensive the bits are. So all of these guns are probably around 3 mil ISK each, and the full fitting plus rigs and everything like that, I'm losing quite a bit of money. But it's, if you compare it to, say, losing a Tech 2 ship that doesn't insure well, it's not all that bad. Oh, actually, Asylum, I think Asylum camps. Can I cancel warp? Yep. Is that Andrew Dog? Okay, so I'm hoping that some of these guys are camping. Doesn't look like it. Evidently, we have some stuff going on in Medium Outpost. Seajunk's may have a fight going on at his location. That'd be cool. Hope tank active. Oh man, yeah. Back in the days when artillery BS were a thing. Yeah, that was pretty cool back in those days. I mean, it was really one dimensional. You know, you just kind of sit there and F1 ships, and you had a pretty good amount of satisfaction to it. But one of the things I really like about it is that you had a lot of give and take back in those days for solid warfare. People would die on both sides for fights, whereas these days it tends to be, as far as I'm concerned, really one-sided whenever I look at fights. Kill boards, kill boards, so... I guess that just has to do with how the game is aged. More people in capital ships and the like. I used to live around there. Yeah, I usually get my best PvP in these areas. I could be going over Calgal space, but my alliance mates just went over there, and they're not finding any fights, unfortunately, for them. Sucks. It's not the same thing, Vark. It's not the same thing at all. But I know what you mean by ranged combat on Ishtars. Arty Abaddons? Yeah, well, you had the same volley. I mean, Maelstroms have a rate of fire bonus. That just means you shoot faster. Interesting you mentioned Calgal. I live there now. Lots of fights usually. From what I've seen, Kate, it is good and it can be good. It's a lot better, a lot more active for European prime time from what I've seen. The problem that I have with it, if I'm running around a bigger ship like this, is that it tends to be a little bit more blobby, I guess is the way to put it. I see a lot of fleets around there that would just demolish a solo BCBS. Whereas over in Amar Minmatar, I get a lot more fights against gangs that I can actually deal with potentially when I'm alone or with links with a battlecruiser or battleship. I've gotten some really good fights over here. I've gotten less good fights, but I have gotten pretty good fights over in Calgal. I think Calgal's space tends to be more competitive, whereas Amar Minmatar is pretty laid back. Is I think the best way to put it. Mark, isn't that a guy with Time.com? I might be wrong. I'm not really sure. He just jumped. Wait, no, he didn't. That was my main jumping. Isn't there a Mark? There's Mark something over on Matani.com that does stuff. I don't know. It may not be Matani.com. Should learn to tune a Rifter. Yeah, Rifters are pretty bad now. That's terrible advice. Yeah, Atrons are pretty good. Yeah. The Swiss Army knife right now of frigates is the Tristan with drones. What are these guys doing? I think Blood Raid, maybe? I don't know, it's Mark something. Mark something. That's Mark Sarius, that sounds right. Yeah, I think Thekla has it. That sounds about right. No, the 7 kills over here is for nothing. Nothing at all. What made Rifters so good before they were changed? Most other frigates weren't all that great. And as Zekla says, they were versatile and fast. They're very similar to the Tristan. They could do a lot of different things and still be incredibly competitive. You could do long range, short range, what have you. It was pretty much one of the few frigates that actually had bonuses that worked very well with the ship attributes and the good slot setup and everything like that. I think I go to Asset next. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, they didn't touch the Rifter, so it was just a bad slasher for a very long time. Then they made it into a kind of a fall-off machine with range, but now we're in a situation where it's not competitive damage-wise with lasers or hybrids. So it has okay range, but its range is tied entirely in fall-off, so even though it projects out to the same distance as, say, hybrids or lasers, and does very mediocre damage output. It's just... hybrids, especially with the null buff, are head and above superior until you start looking at fighting Tech 2 ships, and the Rifter can't really fight Tech 2 ships. And it's not very attractive ship to be in a gang of, say, artillery Rifters that actually pretty effectively use that range bonus. For not much more ISK, you can say flying a Wolf or Seeple, things like that. So Rifters just are very unpopular because they don't really accomplish much. It's yeah, Rifters are pretty much a goof hop ship. They're really 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 bad in comparison to other Minotaur frigates. There's no real reason to fly that frigate over any other Minotaur frigate. If you want to do kind of kitey range stuff, you fly a Breacher. If you want to be doing brawly stuff, you fly a Slasher. The Rifter doesn't really have a place in the metagame right now. I should go to some nullsec system and play with those guys? Alright, man. Just find me a wormhole. I'll be there. The Rifter is probably the coolest looking frigate in the game. It has an amazing ship model. It's very iconic. I mean, it's one of the most iconic ships for EVE Online. The Nefertar Rifter looks good. I think the Nefertar Rifter has the same problem as the Maelstrom to me. It's mostly white. I don't really like that. It looks very similar to this, and I mean, it's kind of cool, like bone white, you know, kind of gloomy, but not really my thing. Oh my gosh. Traffic control, get out of here. Hey, Slowpoke. Yeah, the new MOA. I was fairly conflicted about the new MOA model. I mean, it's cool and all. It looks really good. I like ugly ships, though. I legitimately like ugly ships. I like asymmetrical, weird-looking ships. So, them making it all sexy and pretty kind of gave me a downer, but oh well. New MOA is still ugly for the other game standards, strange looking neck and etc. I like it. I'm not saying it's a bad model. I think it looks pretty good. A magic so many combos. This is so weird for me when I'm streaming. I've seen Darwin explain this. Some skins get applied incomplete to ships they weren't intended for, plus the performance stuff I mentioned. Yeah, there were legitimate issues with the whole skin bug. There were issues where people couldn't look at ships, where it'd reset the view on your ship if you try to look at someone. It would cause people to crash occasionally. So there is a very large need for QAing of skins. So even though you were able to apply those skins across ships, and some of them looked really good, some of them may not. There are other issues aside from things looking good, as far as the skins being applied to ships, so there is a reason for that. The defense was a really thin cop-out. Okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, they have their fact, I stand by that. I mean, I saw the results in game of skins working and not working. I'd rather that don't go through a QA process. Should that process take a long time? No. And I'm of the opinion that CCP wants to get skins out as soon as possible and try to figure out the microtransaction market as soon as possible because it's more money for them. I don't think they are trying to rein in things like that because it means less money for them, if that's the case. Those are autocannons. Leave the prices as they are? I don't know if that's going to happen. They are fairly expensive. I mean, they're permanent, but for microtransaction standards, they're incredibly expensive. I'd imagine there's going to be some pretty significant changes, whether it be like class-wide skins or things like that. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. Modules not responding as they should. This is really frustrating. Yeah, I'm done. A little bit too much. A little bit too much. Kind of, sort of, little bit. So what they have? Curse, Scythe, Executor. Oh my goodness. Lysis in this brick tank. Oh man, he's whole tanked. I think C-Junk's made it out. I think he just didn't engage and just jumped. Nah. And newts though. Was that Horde Blob? No, that was Dead Terrace. I'm always curious how many of those guys are active, just idling, waiting for something to happen where they can bridge or whatever onto. It always ends up being a very large amount of them. Unfortunately, there really wasn't many other fights. I could have docked the thing up, but I was kind of hoping that we get something of an engagement, not most of the people thrown at us. Oh, speaking of Rifters. Well, Moa killed. Op success, right? Poor Mo had kids and family. You monster. Yeah, and they murdered me, man. The kids and family, I got their vengeance. I think plenty. And then some. I don't think their kids and family were shedding a tear. They're quite happy with the end result. Yeah, those ECM drones that got me. I didn't see any ECM ships jamming. It was just a whole swarm of ECM drones. Oh, Kate, great. What organization are you representing? Yeah, Lysis, I mean, it's good manners. Even if it doesn't mean much to the receiving party, it's good manners. I don't really hold it against anybody. Unless they're obviously saying it with sarcasm, which those guys are not. It's just how they fly, man. And I flew, and you followed me right into their fist, so. I mean, we could take like a nano group and nano against them and kill some of their dudes. It'd be the same thing, you know. I think I'm quite happy with the mannerisms of DT. I usually say sorry. Oh, bastards! I've seen bastards flying around. Your guys are with Shadow Cartel now, right? If you're not with them, you're blued up with them, right? I don't know. I never. You guys are in Calgal. I hardly see you guys, but it tends to be like a couple of dudes solo, or maybe like a really really small gang of like, 3 or so people. Bastards used to be like one of my favorite pirate organizations in the game, but just you guys went dormant for a really long time. I have no idea what you guys are really doing anymore. I'm sure it's the same sort of thing, but... Why are most of the useful mods in the mids? Well, for PvP, it's pretty important to have mids open for it, yeah. If you're trying to PvP and you don't have mid slots, let's say you're looking at flying in a course or something like that, the only way you're really going to be PvPing with that is, 1, if you're relying on someone not warping out, or 2, if you have friends to tackle. Yeah, bastards are good people. I don't really know what happened to their organization. I know they went dormant for a while. We were in Shadow Cartel for a few years ago. We're not blue with them anymore. Okay. But we're cordial. Gotcha. Makes sense. Makes sense. Is low slot ECCM any good? It's better than nothing? Vacuza? It's better than nothing is the best I can say. It's definitely nowhere near the same effectiveness that a mid slot will get, but it's better than nothing. I don't know how often you fly with gang links, but if you have a sensor integrity link, it's about the same effectiveness. It helps, it just doesn't help near as much. Yeah, it's about a 40-something% effectiveness, like Lekla said. As opposed to like 150 or so, something like that, out of overheated ECCM in the mids. Oh no, okay. I mean, I do fly in EU time zone. Time zone occasionally. So it's not just the time zone difference. Just even when I'm flying in EU time zone, I just don't see that many bastards. But I think that has a lot more to do with the fact that I just don't fly in Calgal all that often anymore. While the little spat that we just had where I got my maelstrom blown up doesn't Doesn't really show what Minmatar Amar Act War Zone is usually like. Usually I'm able to get fights with 5 to 10 people. It can be great. It can be really fun. It tends to be a lot smaller scale than what you get over in Calgal. I don't believe in sensor strength. Only 18 CPU. It's way lower than that, Thekla, with skills. You have skills that lower the CPU cost, and also the meta low slot ECCM is slightly worse than that and costs like 50% less CPU. With skills, the meta 4 ECCM low slot module costs something like 6 CPU, something like that. It's virtually nothing. So if you're in a ship that has, like a shield tank ship, that has some spare low slots and you can't think of much else to do with very little CPU left, and it doesn't really take much in the way of power grid, you can plop a couple of those on and get some resistance to ECM. So sad and bad corp desperate for efficiency. I wouldn't call them that, dude. I wouldn't call them that at all. Again, I mean, they're doing their thing. They're the only organization in Amar Minmatar that do their thing. They're top dogs. Regardless of how good they're at small gang, micro gangs kind of stuff. If anything, it's my bad for taking a really bad engagement against them. I mean, if I'm going to be fighting DT, I should have some nano-y stuff and some friends, and I had friends, but wrong composition. Sensor strength and a myth. Clearly, ECM is based off which side of the bed CCP Fozzie woke up on that day. Night Scheme, I think you're onto something. We should explore this further. Fozzie doesn't sleep, he watches you on your sleep. He watches you. Yes, he collects your tears on the warp speed changes as you cry in your sleep. Yeah, there you go. Typical Canadian behavior. Very typical. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed the BS stuff. We got a really good slugfest near the start of the stream. We got that decent 1v1. I made so many mistakes in that 1v1. There's also a couple of different things that the person watching wouldn't have seen other than my horrible module management. I had a warp speed rig. C-Junks didn't. I also didn't pop my blue pill. There's a lot of fitting things that really shaped that fight. I miss Battleship 1v1s. I used to get them on a semi-regular back when I first started soloing. They were a lot of fun. I really miss them. You don't get them enough. It is kind of unfortunate with the BS rebalancing is that you don't really have different battleships able to do the same thing anymore. Or at least they're not as effective doing the same thing anymore. You used to have, pretty much, you could do like the same thing with the Dominix as you do with the Mega, as you do more or less with the Hyperion. So, and that kind of played out through most of the racial lineups. Like the Armageddon could kind of do the same thing as an Abaddon. Yeah, C-Junks. We need to do a round 2 at some point. I'm not convinced of your Electron Gun triple rep. I don't know why, but I remember with the triple rep that I was able to fit ions. I'm sure I'm wrong, but yeah. You also said that your rigging skills weren't to 5, which does affect how that fits. I don't understand why there aren't different sizes of webs. There's you could kind of make that argument for most modules. I think for simplicity's sake, it's fine. This game would be pretty ridiculous if you had to fit up, you can only use battleship-sized mods or cruiser-sized mods or frigate-sized mods, that sort of thing. I think their system is as complicated as it needs to be. So BSs can actually hit cruisers and frigates. It's this game's own balance, its own form of balance. if you look at other types of space games, big ships have point defense and they actually can deal with smaller ships, or specifically like if you look like a homeworld or something, a bigger ship is going to maul a smaller ship. But it's just how this game is balanced. That's just how the game mechanics work. Battleships are really, 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 really good, and they're still very popular, especially in system defense or defense in Sov warfare. When you look at bigger fleet stuff in LoSec, even, you still see a lot of battleships around. They need support, or they need critical mass and support. I mean, if you want to think about it, if like bigger ships had more effective modules, something like that. Back in the day, you used to have 90% webs on all ships, and that was a big part of why big ships were so ridiculous. So think about how good the Vindicator is, and it actually can apply to smaller ships. Every ship was like that back in the day. So if a bigger ship caught a smaller ship, that smaller ship was pretty much dead. So if you're looking at like larger size tackle mods or what have you having more effect or something like that, I don't really know what you're thinking of, what your idea is, what exactly the details are, but it's not necessarily a healthy thing for the game. It just encourages you to get in bigger ships, which, while fun is and kind of exciting because everyone's in a big ship, it takes away a lot of the I think complexity of the game. All right, guys, that's going to be it for the night for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the bigger ship stuff. I'm looking forward to trying it out more. I'm glad that I came up with fittings that are able to fit the warp speed rig, so they're not abysmally slow. They're kind of the same speed as old battle cruisers, so that's kind of cool. And I'm kind of happy with not having the MJD. I think we're going to play with it a little bit more, just having like huge amounts of gank and tank. And I think that Maelstrom definitely did not get the fight it deserved. I think the double web Maelstrom is going to be a lot of fun. I just need to find a good fight for it. So we'll play around with it a little bit more. I don't get to use my crystal set all that often. And if there's one thing that works pretty well with crystal sets, is battleships. Battleships are pretty nice with crystal sets. So, cool. Now, according to the stream schedule, I'm going to be live on Wednesday around 6 p.m. PST. I hope to see you guys there. Please follow me on Twitter for stream updates, that sort of thing. Otherwise, please, hit the follow button. I always appreciate it if you enjoy the content. I'm trying to stick to try to be educational about stuff, but man, tonight was really crazy. I was managing like 4 or 5 combos. I'm not used to doing that. I'm gonna have to figure that one out or something. But that's it, guys. See you guys soon, and Fly reckless.